Thanks for watching video 2 and welcome to part 3. In the last video, I talked about the strategies that took me from 0 to 100,000 followers and how I got hundreds of sales in just a couple of days, and how you can create a winning digital product using the product success path. In case you haven't seen this video, go watch it now and come back when you have. But if you have seen it, welcome to the last part of this 3-part video series where I will show you how to go from your first product to a successful 7-figure business, which is exactly what I did with London Real. I went from just an idea to broadcasting conversations with some of the greatest minds in the world and reaching over 50 million people doing it. Not only that, I created a real business. Every day I wake up doing what I love, providing value, inspiring people, and changing lives for the better, while being financially independent and answering to nobody. I'm also going to show you how all the pieces of an online business fit together. After watching this, you will understand how any successful online business works and what you need to do in order to become successful yourself. How did I do this? That is what I'll show you in this video. It's not about some magical million-dollar idea, or special people you need to know, or having a Harvard business degree. It's about certain mindsets, strategies, and proven techniques that you need to apply, which over 200 of my students have done successfully so far. Because there are no extraordinary people, just extraordinary habits. Everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. Successful people just use them differently. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. All you have to do is model the behavior of the people that have achieved what you want. I would even take it a step further. Learn from the best in the world and get results way beyond what you thought were possible. Let me give you an example of someone who went from no idea to revenue in just 6 weeks. This is Max Keeling. Max worked hard at his banking job for years. One day he realized if he were to work that hard on his own business, the possibilities would be limitless. Already a fan of London Real, he came across our episode with James Altucher and started following James' advice to write down 10 ideas a day. The more ideas Max came up with, the more excited he got about what he could do. Eventually, he zeroed in on the area he was most passionate about, which was investing and coaching. Even though Max had a lot of personal commitments and the timing wasn't ideal, he decided to go all in and join our Business Accelerator. Max really threw himself into the course, opening himself up fully to his new network. He then accepted our challenge to make 10 vlogs in 10 days. From that, he got amazing feedback that helped him clarify his idea, just like I explained in the first video. Soon, the investing coach was born. Max found out that a lot of his Facebook friends he hadn't talked to in years were interested in his services. These kinds of friends are what we call weak ties, something I cover extensively in the Business Accelerator. I recommended that he create and run his very first webinar. He did so and made his very first sales a lot sooner than he anticipated. Here's a short clip of Max.
Like I said, I'd been brainstorming lots of ideas, and the idea was in the new year to start a business and think about what skills I had. So with the London Real Accelerator coming along, I thought, what can I launch now? And I had this idea that I'd been working on for probably 6 or 7 years in the background around share trading. And we had our first call, in a certain way you said, I don't think that's a business, or I think it can be replicated. And I came off thinking, what? This is a good idea. This is going to work. And really, as you go through the process, you start to realize what it takes to have a business, things like the ecosystem, etc. But those first few weeks, I think my personality or my background, I was kind of thinking I'd rather be in the background of doing things and build an internet business, and you think that you're going to be behind the scenes. And those first few weeks, you've got to be on camera, you've got to give an intro to yourself, and you get to see other people's videos. And then when you do the 10 vlogs in 10 days, I was definitely out of my comfort zone. And so that's a challenge. And it seems such a small thing now when you look back. It's just getting your phone out and filming yourself about anything for 1 or 2 minutes and putting it out there. But so many people struggled with it. Even once we were 4 or 5 weeks in, there was still people that hadn't done their 10 vlogs. And it's funny, but you get over the fear. And actually, because you'd kind of poo-pooed my initial idea, it was actually through doing the vlogs that I started to get a lot of feedback from people. And that started to fuel me thinking about what would be a different business idea. So if I hadn't have done the videoing, which I probably never would have done on my own, I wouldn't have the concept for the business that I've got now, which is amazing.
I'm very proud of Max. I love his story because it reminds me of when I was starting London Real. He said something in that clip that resonated with me. Once you get over the fear and push through, that's where all the magic happens. I'm a big believer in this idea. If you watch my TED Talk, you'll see it's the core message I was trying to spread. Go to where the fear is. In the last video, I talked about the fears I had of launching my very first product, which was a big deal for me at the time. Because if it failed, I would have to let go of the one thing I felt passionate about and be forced to find a job to support my family. But I pushed through, and just like Max, that's when the magic started happening. Hundreds of people paid to join the London Real Academy, and I started amassing the funds to build London Real into a credible media outlet. Word got around that whenever you were in London, you had to swing by our studio. Big names like Wim Hof, Jocko Willink, and Ido Portal came by. More people started watching us, and a lot of them wanted to know how I did it. Viewers were asking me how I went from a job I didn't care about to doing something I loved deeply and making a good living from it. In the beginning, I was a little reluctant to invest my time in teaching them. I had guys like Elliot Hulse, Dan Pena, and Dorian Yates coming to the show. These people were changing my life, and I felt like I was serving the world by giving them a platform. But the bigger London Real grew, the more requests kept coming in, and that got me thinking. If my goal was to change people's lives for the better, then maybe I needed to listen to what London Reelers really wanted. I took every wrong turn imaginable when it came to building an online business. So explaining step by step how someone could transform their passion into a business was easy for me. I opened up a small class for 10 London Reelers where I showed them the method to our madness. This is what I taught them. When it comes to building an audience, there are basically 4 things you need to know. And I learned this from my good friend, Alex Icon. And those are Q, V, C, and A. Q stands for quality. Everything you produce, especially when it comes to video, has to be of high quality. And if you look back to London Real over the 5 years that we've been broadcasting, every single episode we try to get better. And that could mean better audio, better lighting, better cameras, better video, better guests, maybe even better clothes for me to wear. We're always trying to get better. So quality is very, very, very important. It's extremely necessary, and make sure that you try to always do the best you can do. V stands for value. Everything you produce has to add value to someone else's life. It really has to teach them something or give them a benefit or at least entertain them, but it has to have value. On London Real, we try to teach you lessons about other people's lives that can help you change your game, build the best you, maybe help you create a business or accelerate your life or relationships, anything. But we always try to add value, and that is super important. Third is C for consistency. You have to produce regular content no matter what. Otherwise, your audience will get bored and they will go somewhere else. For London Real, I committed back in October of 2011 that we would publish an episode every single week without fail. And now, almost 6 years later, we have done that every single week, and people tune in on Sunday nights to get their fix of London Real. This is super important because it builds in just a repetitive mechanism where they just grow to love and expect that London Real message entering in their email, introducing them to someone new. And finally, A, authenticity. You have to be your real self. Especially these days with video, people can smell a fake or an act within seconds. So you've got to be who you really are. You've got to talk about your real opinions. You've got to get real. You've got to tell it how it really is. The good, the bad, the ugly, what happens behind the scenes, what happens in front of the camera. Super important. But this is an incredible recipe for success when it comes to creating content, which is really what every company has to do these days, because I believe that every company today is a media company first. And we teach that in the Business Accelerator, and you'll hear me make reference to that many, many times. The next thing I want you to focus on is 50% of your time should be spent on creating content, and 50% should be spent on getting it out there. That's on blogs, on Facebook groups, working together with other channels, Twitter, you name it. It should be really the distribution. So this is where a lot of people get stuck. You have all this attention, and what do you do with it? Eventually, you want to send them to your website. Very, very important here. So you've got the audience, you've got their attention by doing QVCA. You spent 50% of your time on the content, 50% of the time distributing it. Now you have their attention. And of course, Gary Vee always told me it's all about day trading attention. Now we send them to your website. Now, let's pause and think about this. Why do I ask people to go to my website? What's the whole purpose of actually having a website? Take a few seconds now and try to come up with your answer. Do you have one? A lot of people don't really know why. So let me tell you. When starting out, people should come to your website for only one reason: to give you their email address. That's it. Forget about selling, introducing who you are, showcasing your work, etc. Your main focus is to get their email, which you do by offering a free piece of value-added content in return. So why email? Well, here is 3 reasons. Email is the most effective medium for having a sales conversation with your customer. Here, you can create a relationship, educate, and sell. Email is 20 times more effective than a social media subscriber. 20 times more effective. And unlike all the social media channels out there, email is not dependent on algorithms. If Facebook changes how they distribute attention or decide to block your account, there's nothing you can do about it. Email gives you lifetime access to people's inbox. Just think about your own email. When was the last time you changed it? This was probably the #1 mistake I made with turning London Real into a business. I didn't start collecting email addresses soon enough. Okay, so you have the email, now what? It's time to start giving value. Why? You're doing this to build trust, so that when it's time to present your offer, your customer knows you, likes you, and wants to give you their money. This is what I did with London Real. I built up 3 years of trust before I offered my first product. Eventually, you're going to sell your product, which you will do through a webinar, which is extremely effective. Remember Max Keeling? He found a lot of buying customers through his first webinar. Now, all of this is a cycle that you can do over and over again. We start with the audience. You then create a product. You then create sales. And you invest that income into building a bigger audience. And once you build that bigger audience, you actually create a new product. And when you create a new product, you generate more revenue in sales. And the cycle goes around and around, and it really, really completes. And we did the same thing with London Real. We spent 3 years building an audience. We created our first product, which was the London Real Academy. We sold that product and generated some revenue, which gave us the funds to build our audience even bigger. We got better guests on the show. We upgraded our studio. We worked on our SEO. By doing that, we then created our next product, the Business Accelerator. And after we got the revenues from that, we started investing again into our audience. And this is a cycle that repeats and repeats and it repeats. And this is the essence of any successful online business. And you can do exactly the same thing. The most important thing to do is you don't need to start and go too big. You just need to satisfy the audience with your product and create sales. Now, one thing you're gonna have to have is a product ecosystem. And let me finish by explaining this because that is one of the fundamentals of this cycle. Now, I explained this, or I alluded to this earlier in video 2, and now I want to explain it a little bit better. Every company has a product ecosystem. It consists of 3 pieces: a free product, a product for prospects, and a core product. This is your free product. This is your product for prospects, and this is your core. And I was taught this by my good friend Daniel Priestley, and he explained to me a lot of the basics here. And if you look at any successful company in the world, they all have 3 parts of their product ecosystem, and so will you. The first product is the free product. This is where you initially develop your audience, and we create lots of it. For London Real, those are our episodes. That's any content we put out on social media that engages our audience. And again, use the QVCA and the 50-50 rule, and you will find an audience coming to you. But no company exists without that free product, so start creating lots of it now. The next part is your product for prospects. This is a low-cost product that you cannot build a business only on. You will not be able to survive because in the long run, it actually loses money. But it's the first time your customers actually pull out their credit card and vote with their dollars or pounds or euros for you. A very important part of the customer relationship. And we went over this in video 2. You create your product for prospect by delivering a success path, taking someone from a reality A to a reality B. And this could be an 8-pack abs in 8 weeks, or this could be a recipe that takes you from raw ingredients into a gourmet meal. Whatever it is that you create, I want you to create that product for prospects. Usually, it's less than $100, and it's something that allows the person to get familiar with who you are as a business person, and you over-deliver value to that client so they want to come back and then buy your core product. The core product is where you make the bulk of your revenue, and usually the price of this will be in the thousands of dollars. Now, a lot of new entrepreneurs think, I don't have anything that anyone would want for $2,000. But inside the Business Accelerator, I will show you that is not true. And there are people all over the world that will pay this price for a core product that you can deliver. But once you understand this ecosystem, you can see how the free product gets people interested in you. Those people then go on to buy your product for prospects. You deliver value. They see who you are. And some of those people go on to buy your core product, which is the bulk of your revenue. And this cycle can repeat and repeat and repeat as you build your audience. You build out all sorts of your products and your product ecosystem and increase this cycle until you become a 7-figure, 8-figure, or even a 9-figure business. And those are the basic tools of creating a successful online business. And I know you can do it with your passion and your purpose because I did it with mine. And that's basically the fundamentals of starting an online business. There's no magic or luck involved. It's all about understanding the different pieces and getting good at them. After 8 weeks of my teaching, my 10 students said they experienced the biggest life change since leaving their parents. They finally understood the roadmap to creating a business, and more importantly, a life on their own terms. They could continue with their 9-to-5 job if they loved it, or decide to build something of their own and create a new source of income. At the end of the day, they had a choice, and that alone can be liberating. Because a lot of us feel like we have to do our jobs right now to survive, whether we want to or not. Later on, we gave that class of 10 students a name, the Business Accelerator. This course ended up being the most meaningful thing I have ever created. Making content and planting the seeds for a new life is great, but empowering people to take action and transform their lives is more rewarding than anything I have ever done. The Business Accelerator blew up, and in a matter of 6 months, London Real went from a podcast to a 7-figure media company. Things really took off from me, and now I want to give you the same opportunity. If you have ever dreamed about having a successful business and living your passion, I can give you the roadmap. I can guide you every step of the way, like I did with my past 200 students, and show you how to go from no idea to a successful business in just 8 weeks. I will be opening a limited program with a select number of students who want to get to the next level, which I will cover in the next video. But you will have to act now, because once we close the offer, we won't reopen for another 6 months. Imagine where you would be 6 months from now if you did the same thing you are doing now, and compare that to where you will be if you understand and take action on everything I have been talking about in these last 3 videos. Not only that, you will be doing it together with like-minded entrepreneurs who will be in the same position as you, motivated, hungry, and driven to create a new life. Finding those people is rare. Because the truth is that the world wants you to be vanilla. Most of us wake up on Monday, work a boring 9-to-5 job, look forward to the weekend, and repeat the cycle. If it was up to society, we would live mediocre lives we don't care about. But there is another way. Let me show you what is possible in my next video, and I'll see you there.